So I've talked about this previously about how I do a routine with the trays that they stay out during the day, get all the warmth, and before it gets colder, if you are in those transition seasons, part of the season, they go into the cold frame at night. So that was kind of a global approach to all the trays, but also another thing that I do with the trays is rotate them. So my greenhouse, the sun is behind me and it goes kind of like this, and there's trees all along this. So depending on where you are will determine whether you get more or less sunlight than another tray. So this side tends to get less sun versus this. So I see good germination over here, and I don't see as good germination over here, which means I'm going to put the trays that need more sun over onto the tray or the bench that gets more sun. And you can also tell the difference between the sun when you look at these two trays. So the sun kind of comes up and over and then kind of hangs out there, but because there's a wall here, the back half of these trays do not get as much sun. So these two trays, I had both of the fronts here over the week, and I see better germination versus I see germination here. So I just swap them around, hoping I can get any sort of extra benefits. Pretty much not going to happen, but it is something to consider. When you do have seed trays, especially when you're doing this outside, they are much more susceptible into how much sun and heat and cold and everything that they get. So I would highly recommend not only just globally putting them into cold frames, but also rotating them in where your cold and hot spots are, because they tend to be more sensitive in these sorts of conditions. And if you do that sort of rotation, it tends to minimize it. You're still going to have issues with certain trays versus others. Hopefully the impact is minimal, but as long as you get into this routine of putting in and out as well as rotating, I've found that it does help with germination overall.